been a long time since I picked up a camera and I actually have felt something. You know? Don't get it twisted. I love what I get to do. I get to test out the latest and greatest of camera gear. I get to experience all the dynamic range, the megapixels. Everything is just so perfect. And that's the problem. It's all so perfect. It don't feel like anything. But this camera right here, the X100V is the first camera I picked up in a long time that feels alive. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I now understand the hype of the FujiFilm X100V. You know, I told myself I was not going to jump on this FujiFilm bandwagon because we go on YouTube, especially when you're looking at photography and stuff like we do. This is all you see. 4,942 videos uploaded every day about the FujiFilm X100V. I looked at the used market. People are paying 2 times, sometimes even 3 times more than what this camera originally sold for. And although I promised myself I would not hop on this freaking bandwagon, I gotta be honest, it definitely piqued my curiosity to a point where I had to go experience this for myself. So this is not gonna be like a tech-driven video. Like I said, this camera has been out for a while. You can go watch the other 4,622,314.22 videos on it if you want all the tech specs and stuff like that. I wanna talk about how this camera has made me feel, which as a person who reviews gear for a living, like I said in the intro, is very, very important. But before we get into that, a little bit of story time, okay? I remember growing up, my stepmother used to have this silver and black Pentax camera. It was a film camera. I have no clue what the freaking model was, but I remember every time she would leave, she would say, "Don't you touch my camera." And every time she would leave and tell me don't touch my camera, guess what I did? I went and touched that camera. And I remember being so intrigued by the camera. The way it felt, I picked it up, it was like aluminum, it was cold when I picked it up. And more than anything, when I pressed the shutter button, I could capture a moment in time. And obviously I didn't understand this as a child, I do now as an adult, but I could capture a moment in time, the way it felt, who was there, what was going on, and I can relive that moment forever. That camera that my stepmother used to have, everything about it ignited my arc for my love for photography, cameras, and filmmaking, which is how I got here, okay? Now, I will say I mostly shoot right now Sony and a lot of Lumix, okay? So I don't get to use these like retro-inspired cameras. You know, the cameras I use now are technologically amazing. Like I said in the intro, like they're all perfect, they're all sharp, they all have crazy dynamic range and great color science, and you know, they're all great tools, okay? And I'm going somewhere with this, just hear me out. Before I started this X100V hype, okay, I was going through all of my family photos, and I have literally gigabytes and gigabytes of them on my network attached storage at home. And what I started to realize is, although all of these photos were technically perfect, like they were all sharp and focused, they all looked great, man, I realized that none of them gave me the feeling that I had when stepmom used to come back with the prints from the print store and looking through those photos, and I always felt like you could feel what happened in that photo. Although all of these photos I have of my kids and all that stuff are great, none of them gave me that feeling, which is why I had to see what the X100V was all about, because people keep talking about this camera makes me feel a certain way. And I will say that that has been absolutely true. So I want to tell you the reasons why. Yo, this is Editor Terry. I'm actually editing the video you're watching right now, and I need to tell you real quick about today's sponsor, Artlist.io, and how they made making this video honestly real easy. Let's go to their website. So if you've never heard about Artlist.io before, they offer royalty-free, copyright-free, professional quality music, sound effects, and digital assets. So what makes this so powerful is, for example, this video, I knew the type of music I wanted to go for. Well, everything is curated on here, so I can pick it by mood, video theme, genre, you know, instrumental. They have sound effects, and these libraries are updated all the time. Also, they have, as you see up here, footage, templates, plugins, and they actually have editing software if you need editing software. So everything that you need for your projects, you can get on Artlist.io. Now, they have plans for everybody, whether you just want music and sound effects, or whether you want the whole kit and caboodle with the editing software, plugins, all that stuff, there's a package for everybody. And guess what? I will actually give you 2 months free on an annual subscription when you use the link below. So thank you, Artlist, for obviously making this video easy with all the music and stuff, but also sponsoring today's video. Back to the video. Now, before we move on, I have noticed that a lot of y'all come back and watch my videos and you don't subscribe. Can you please explain to me what that crap is all about? Can we please change that right now before I move on? Okay, thank you. Listen, I know some of y'all are probably in the comments saying, well, Terry, you could just go back and edit those photos how you wanted to. Yes, I could. And that is where the, dynamic range and all that stuff in today's cameras is amazing. But the reality is who wants to do that? I want to do that when I'm being paid to edit. I want to do that when I'm editing with a purpose. I don't want to go editing photos of just random snaps around the house of my kids and life, okay? And that is where the X100V has come in for me. This camera has made me feel excited about photography again. Why? There's a few different reasons. The first reason, it reminds me, and some of this might be nostalgia, but I think most people who've gotten into photography and filmmaking can probably relate to this, okay? The metal or aluminum body, whatever this thing is made out of, and all of the buttons and switches and dials, it just reminds me of the way it felt for me when I picked up those older cameras, such as the Pentax that my stepmother used to use. And that is a big deal, okay? A lot of times memories, even with photography, are tied to the moment, but also tied to the piece of gear that you used, okay? So this reminds me of the piece of gear from my childhood that I used to use. The next big thing for me is the fact that it's a fixed focal length. I can't change this lens out. So whereas on my other cameras, I have to sit there and think about, oh man, which lens should I pick for this? Should I take a 24mm or a 35 today? This leaves me with no option, okay? It's just a 35mm full frame equivalent on here. And that for me has been stimulating, okay? Also, is the X100V a digital camera? Sure, it's a digital camera, not a film camera, meaning it could do a lot of the thinking for you if you let it. And to be honest, I don't mind letting it do it. I tend to just put this thing on aperture priority and I let it pick the shutter speed, the ISO itself, and I just have fun taking photos instead of worrying about all the freaking nerdy stuff that I have to worry about all day with my other cameras. Now, the biggest thing for me are the film simulations. And let me say this, I know Fuji has a bunch of other cameras that have film simulations in them. I know, all the other camera brands have built-in presets that you could tweak and customize, but there's nothing like film simulations. The film simulations are actually made after actual film, which again, we talk about the feeling of nostalgia and being able to, see a piece of film get developed and get the photo back, and it's got that filmic look to it. Man, having those film simulations in here that emulate film are amazing. Not only that, but you can pick through several of them and you can see it in real time in the viewfinder. So let me tell you how this makes photography fun. If I'm looking at this plant right here, I can go through these different film simulations and pick which one right now matches the way this feels to me. I can see it through the viewfinder. I can snap the photo, and the photo that comes out already has the simulation applied to it, which then I can share, I can print, I can do whatever straight from the camera. What's even more amazing is there are all types of film recipes that you can find online. And this honestly has made photography so fun again for me, because people go and make these simulations to try to match films that they've used over the years. And it's been so much fun going through all of these different film recipes and seeing which ones I like best and which ones I don't like, etc. So for me, it's just like, that's been so much fun. The image quality obviously is amazing out of it. I wouldn't use it if the images sucked. And all of these things I talked about are not special in their own right. Like, none of them are special. Having a built-in ND filter, okay, that's special. But the other things I'm talking about, like, good image quality and being able to pick stuff in the camera, none of those things by themselves are anything special. But when you blend them all together in a small camera like this that feels amazing when you pick it up, that feels like something when you pick it up, all of those together is what make the X100V special. All of those together is what almost makes this camera, I hate to say this because it sounds so cliche, it almost makes this camera feel alive. Like, I enjoy using this camera. It makes me want to use the camera, and being able to capture memories the way I want them to be captured and not have to worry about all the nerdy stuff, and being able to choose through all the different film simulations. Man, it's just, I get it. I get the hype, and I'm almost scared for whenever the predecessor for this comes out, because all of the things I talked about, plus the fact that it's not perfect, make it special. But the predecessor is going to be obviously more technically advanced than this one, and I'm kind of scared of that because I feel like it might take away from the way the FujiFilm X100V makes me feel. I guess time will tell whenever that camera comes out, if that camera comes out. But with that being said, I'm very curious to know what y'all think about my analysis of how the FujiFilm X100V makes me feel. Drop it down there in the comments. Now, before we go real quick, I know some of y'all are gonna ask me, what audio source am I using? This is actually just a 3D printed microphone holder made for DJI mics by Original Dobo. So I'll link this in the description. And also there's a DJI Mic 2 inside of it, which I just uploaded 2 videos on. So if you wanna learn more about the DJI Mic 2 microphones, make sure you check those out. After this video, I will put them in the end card. And that's it. So I'm out of here. Peace of chicken grease. Much love, y'all. Tyson Terry Warford. I'm out. Peace.